So today we are going to design level select screen. This is the user after loading splash screen, which we designed in the previous tutorial. You can check the link in the description for the playlist. Once the splash screen is loaded, then they are routed to level selection screen. We first add our logo. We'll be using the logo that we designed previously. This is just a copy paste. So we copy the logo from the previous splash screen. So select the logo, then Control C, then click on the second screen and first delete the existing sketch, then Control V to paste. Then you can use don't drag to resize. Use Shift, then drag Shift key. So Shift, then holding the mouse, drag to resize. So that will resize all the elements within the logo. Then you can position it well at the top. Make sure it fits well, and it leaves some margin on the left, some margin on the right and top, and also above the game title. So now we select our screen title, that is select level. We'll be designing this within Adobe XD. So we change font. You can sample several fonts until we get the one that is interesting to us. So sample several, and once you're comfortable with it, now we can change a few other settings, like the border. You can give it a different color, and also change the border size to around that's a lot, that's even a lot. We just want some borders around the text, so around a figure of 2, 3, 4, 5 is enough. Then you can give it a different color, say a greenish. You can select your own color. What other settings can we change? You can increase font size, that it fits where it's visible, and also position it well. So now we need to create a background for these text of us. So first we group, so right click group. So these are like correcting elements that are similar in one, so that in one folder, so that we are able to edit like the way we did the logo. So rename this to title. So we need to create a background behind our screen title that is also visible and also is outstanding. So use the rectangle tool, draw over the screen title, then drag it within the title subgroup, then below the select level text, that the text is above, then position it well so that the text is centered. So now we will edit now the settings for this box. So first of all, we give it a border and a fill, and also a rounded edges. So this will be a unique rectangle. So you can sample a few of the settings. So you use pass through, then border, you give it a color, can give it a brackish, then increase the size so that it's also visible to around 5. Make sure you have selected the rectangle around, not the group. Otherwise, you edit everything in the group. If you have done that, just undo using Ctrl Z. So make sure you select the rectangle. If you look, I've selected the group. That's why even the text is changing the background color, the border color. So expand the group and do what you have done. Then select the rectangle. So this is the one that you are changing the border. So you give it a brackish. Then size of about 5. Yeah, that's visible. Then fill color to a different color. You can sample. You can use pink. So for the select title, I also need to change the fill and also the border color to bluish. So play around with it so that the text is visible to your users. Let's see what else we can change. You can also play around with this. For this tutorial, I don't think I need to be that busy. Then we name our rectangle to title background so that we're able to know what it is. So we go back to our rectangle. So we need to give it a rounded edge. So we can play around with these settings. So we click on the rounded edges just above the fill. Then on top left and top right, we need to give it, say 50. 50, yeah, 50 would be look better. Then top right, top left corners, those ones we just leave the way they are. Yeah, now it looks better. So we can play around with the title color so that it's also visible. Yeah, we can use the yellow with a border of blue. You see at the end how it looks like when we play our prototype and see how the screen looks like. So just playing with the settings for our title. You can even increase border size to around 445, 345 or 245, 2345 size, whichever you feel works best for you. So now we go to level buttons. This will be designing using Adobe Photoshop. So we can select all the buttons. First we group the settings button, so right click settings, then group, then name the group as settings. Then we also have exit button together with background. So select settings and its rectangle that we did during our sketch. Then click group, then rename it to exit button. Then we can move it above so that they are together with the other groupings. Then select all the level but text and rectangles and delete them. This will be designing using Adobe Photoshop in a few. So again, select the background rectangle, group it, and name it to background. So you're trying to tidy things up. Then now you can delete all the level sketches that we did by selecting them. Then first group them and name level, so that now we can be able to navigate our designs. So again, we can group these further and call these level, because now we'll be doing the levels, then there will also be a background for the levels. Before we delete, let's create a background for our level buttons. So we will select rectangle tool, drag it across the level buttons, then move it below into levels group, then just below the levels group. Then you name it to level button background. So this will help you in Unity to identify which UI elements represents what. So now we want to give it a background color and also a border color like we did with the title background. So we select and use the same color codes. So it's pink. You can copy that color code and reuse it based on Notepad, then go to the level button background, go to fill, then so we need to select this manually, or you can check the color code and you can type the color code anyway. Let's see whether this works. If it doesn't work, we can just type. Yeah, you can't. So we just drag to the pink, then we can check our color code. CE something. And now you can check the color code on your side, the one that you're using. It doesn't have to be exact mine. Be unique so that your game also looks different. So you can note the color codes, then come and put in manually so that the color don't look off. So we can type in the color code, and there you have the two backgrounds looking similar. So now we put the border color to brackish, then increase the size to 4 or 5. Then we give again rounded top right, top left of around 50. So just above the field there is that rounded. You can even give all the sides 50-50. Yeah. Then you position it well. You can also resize it. So you make sure you are selecting the background, not the group. Otherwise you edit even the revo items. You can also try to play around with the other settings. For now, I don't think I need this. So let's see what else we can adjust. I think can play around with these settings. So now we design the revo buttons using Adobe Photoshop. Then we copy and paste and align them, and then also edit the text. So we fire up our Adobe Photoshop, then click fire, then new. You can select in the dimensions. Then using a rectangle tool, just draw a big rectangle across. Then give it a background color. You can confirm the color you're using so that you don't use the same color. Blue will work. It doesn't work, we can change. Then double click the layer on the top right, bottom right, to open layer styles. Then select the first option. Then we can play around with the color. We can give it red, then play with the size. Then also smooth and depth. So as you drag, make sure you check what the effect. You can also change all the colors and also the opacity. You can play around with it. What else can we change? Depth. You can reduce. You want a unique button. You can fire up the opacity to 100. Then we select stroke and click on it so that we can change the settings. Increase the size that it is visible. You can also use a gradient if you show it, if you wish. For this tutorial, I'll be using color. So you can use a gradient or pattern. Let's just use a plain color. You can also play around with the other layer style settings. For now, I think that is enough. So click OK when you're done to accept the layer style changes. Then rename the layer style. Rename the layer to level button background. So we need to crop these so that we can export. Just to remove the whitish area. So select the crop tool on the toolbox. Then just drag the handles to clear out the white area. Then press enter to accept. And there we have our button background. So we can save this and save on your computer to the folder where you have saved your project, and give it a descriptive name that you can always remember. Remember, you can use the Adobe Photoshop file in Unity, so that's why we are naming it in a way we can remember, just in case we decide to use a Photoshop file instead of PNG exports. Sorry, I've minimized my screen. Also undid the cropping, so I need to redo cropping. Yeah, so now we can export this. It's just that simple. So go to File Export, Quick Export as PNG, then you save it. Now one thing you note is that when we open it has a white background. It's because our layer has a background layer enabled. So let's see. You can see it here, the whitish background. So copy and paste this to Adobe XD. You notice the button has a whitish area around it, which we don't want. So delete, we go back to Adobe Photoshop and disable the background layer by clicking the eye tool. The eye, yeah, that one. So we have a transparent background. So disable that, then save the file and then export. Save, then quick export, file export, quick export as PNG, then give it a name. Override. So now we have our button background. So close that. We open the one that we have exported. Then copy and paste into our Adobe XD file. Then we resize it. So Control V. Then just hold the handles and drag within our level screen. Then we can position it where level 1 is. Then resize it a bit. So then we drag this to our button group. Then within level button group, where now we have our buttons, so we can delete all these buttons that we created together with the sketches for the background. So select all of them using Shift key, then click the first and the last. So we first arrange that's the background in the text for the level 1. We put it above the level button background that we have imported. We can change the font just before we delete the other buttons. Let's first make some changes. So you can sample the fonts, different fonts, and look the one that is interesting to you. So select the Revo text in the Revo background. So make sure it is aligning well. So select level text and align to the center. You can also center the texts. Then you can sample different fonts. Let's just go through them and see the effects. You can see on the screen. I'm using arrow up when I've selected the font to change the different fonts. So just sample through. Select that one that works for you. If a font is not available, you can always download and install. If you'd like to run out to install, just let me know in the comments. I'll do a separate video for you. You can always get these fonts for free online. Just look for the sites that offer fonts for free. There are some that may require you to pay or make attribution. So the choice is yours. Depending on what you want to achieve. So later when we are redesigning the app, that is after we have completed the game and we are updating, we might adjust some of these things and redesign them even using Photoshop, Adobe Illustrator. But for now, we just go through the basics. So select the level 1 text and the level button background and group, then call this level 1. So we have the first button. So we select the others and delete them. Delete. So now we can duplicate our level 1 button and rename it. So right click on it, then duplicate. Then rename it to level 2. Then rename the text to level 2. Then drag it just below and create some spacing in between. So double click the text and change to level 2. Then you can click on the group that you have edited and drag. Make sure you're editing the right group. Then drag down. So that's level 1, level 2. So we can change that. Even the name will change. And also the alignment so that we have level 1 at the top. So continue duplicating. So make sure you're aligning them and the spacing is correct. Adobe XD will always guide you when you're placing your buttons. So let's make sure the level buttons are named correctly. So this is level 2. And we have a level 1. And level 3. Sorry, I made a mistake on the naming. That's level 3. I'll come to change the level 1. I think I've labeled it level 21. So you have a level 3. So let's rename this to level 1. This is just a prototype. The level numbers will increase as we go along. So for now, we are just creating a prototype. And when you're starting the game, we don't anticipate to create so many levels at the same time. So we can use a few just for design purpose. Then we can duplicate the screen or allow the levels to scroll, or even the screen itself to scroll to different levels like you have seen in other games. So it's a choice that you make. We'll also be doing a different tutorial where we do different level buttons. So you'll be able to see how you can create rectangle, square shaped, oval shaped, circular, and diamond shaped, and now you can link them using the design so that when you're coding in Unity it's easy and simple. So we create level 5 and also rename it. So you have 5 levels, so select all of them, then drag them to the center. Make sure they are aligned with spacing on top, left, right, and the bottom is okay. I don't leave too much space. Then we can reduce the size. So you can even have 5 levels, which then scroll to the right, to the left, up, or even the screen itself scrolls to the level 6, 7, 8. So we select our level and title and position, then also the logo to create some spacing. Yeah, our game level screen is taking shape now from the sketch to the actual UI elements. This is what we'll be using in Unity. Now we design settings and exit buttons using Adobe Photoshop. So we close our area design, open new, file new, then select any dimension. You can select any. So I'm in crop tool, so select the rectangle tool, drag across to draw a big rectangle. Again, we use the layer style. So double click the layer. First we change the color. You can use the color palette to select a good color. You can use a pink. Then double click the layer on the bottom right to rename it. Then double click it. Now we start with the first option of bevel. We play around with the settings depth. Can increase it. Notice it still have the colors that we used the last time. Then size, we play around with it. Also soft. You can drag around the screen to see what you're designing. You can use patterns if you want. You can also change contour, but you won't change. So we go to stroke. We can give it a different color, say blue, light blue. Yeah, looks fine. You can also play around with the settings and see what you can add. You can also use a pattern overlay and a gradient overlay, sorry, and replace our pink color with a gradient. then click OK. I think this looks fine. So we just crop it using the crop tool, just like we did with the other button. Then press enter to accept. Again, remember to disable the background there, then save as, then save on your computer, give it a name, then we go to file, then export, then quick export as PNG. So we have exported our button, so we open it and import it to our design. So open our PNG, then copy. We are not importing our Adobe Photoshop file into Adobe XD because it won't, sometimes it doesn't import layer styles, so your button will look awkward. So that's why we are using PNG file. So resize it, then drag it to the settings group just below the settings text, then align the settings text to fit well within the button. Then you make a few adjustments to our text. So select that settings text, center it, align it to the center, then change the fill color. Remember, it depends on the color you picked. That's the gradient you picked or the color that you picked. So play around with the settings to see which one is visible. You don't want a button to appear in the game, but the user cannot tell what it is for. So make sure the text is visible. In future tutorial, we'll be replacing the text with an icon or adding an icon. So we'll add an icon, then replace it with an icon so that you know how you can design various buttons. That's when we are updating our UI once we complete the game development. So this will help you learn how to update games and how to make changes. You have to go back to your design file, make changes, then play the prototype, see if the change fits well. If it's okay, then you can go ahead and export the design UI elements into your Unity, then compare your game and upload it back to Play Store. So you're just playing around with the color border fill. So select the text. You can go to the group and click to the text directory. You can increase even the border size so that the text is also visible. So we can delete our exit button, then duplicate the settings, drag it, first rename it to exit button. So this is how you use the elements. So position it to the left, make sure the spacing is okay. Then we change the text to exit. Again, we'll be replacing this with icon buttons later. So if you want to maintain the text button, then you should be okay with this tutorial. If you want icons, so stick to future tutorial that I'll be doing. So select both the buttons, then drag them up to create space for monetization. So below it, below them, we can place adverts, or above our where the logo is, or we can place two of them. So this is to increase our monetization earnings by displaying several ads. And again, we don't want to interfere with the user experience. So when you are done with the design, we'll be coming to monetization and try to place the ads and see how. So now we can play our design by clicking the play button just where there is a percentage on top right, and preview our level design. Here we have it. You can cross just to see it from a plain background. So, and congratulations, we have our level design, level screen. Looks awesome. So we'll be cleaning this up later, not now. Once the game is in store, you can also preview our splash screen. So this is the first screen that loads, the one that we designed in the previous tutorial. You can check the link in the description for the playlist. Then after that, after a few seconds, then the main screen loads. So thank you. Remember to subscribe, like, and share. Thank you.